Hello, my name is Aspasia, and this is my bookish channel, Asparagus Reading, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I plan to read or will try to read in March. I do apologize if the lighting is a little out of whack. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I realized that today is Wednesday, which is my typical uploading day, and I haven't made this video yet, so we're doing this now. Alright, let's get into the books. So the first one I have here is Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. This is also a Book of the Month book. So Don't Cry For Me is a book about a black father that is trying to amend his relationship with his gay son through some letters. I believe he's also on his deathbed, so typically, how many people do when they're dying, they realize that they have done some not great things throughout their life and have tried to make amends. And so it seems like he's trying to make amends with his gay son. I'm not sure if the book is written in letters or if the book follows him as he writes the letters and goes through the process of realizing what he's done, but I believe it is going to be very emotional and probably thought-provoking book, just because it is about southern rural black men and black families, and also how that relates to having a gay family member and racism and things like that. So I'm sure this will be interesting and impactful read. I'm curious to see how this may be similar to some of the other books. I have noticed in recent months that Book of the Month has included some kind of book to do with a certain race or identity's life, or even I feel like I'm not explaining this very well, because recently they had Razor Blade Tears and Infinite Country, Don't Cry For Me, and a couple other books. So I feel like they've been picking up some very similar books recently, so I'm very interested to see how this holds up in comparison. The next book I have here is Delilah Green Does Not Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a new adult romance that is LGBT, follows two beautiful women. I remember when I first saw this cover, I said, oh, which one am I supposed to pick? Like, this? Yes. And I remember watching I think it was a Twitch stream with Ali from Hardback Quarter, and she was like, oh, that book with the two really hot women on the cover. And I'm like, exactly. The book with the two really hot women in the very, the purple cover. That's all you need to know. So this is about two women, Delilah Green and Claire Sutherland. This follows Delilah Green, who has been living in New York with a photography career. And for some reason, she has decided to go back to Bright Falls. I believe she's going to be being the photographer for her stepsister's wedding. And I believe while she's there, at some point, she runs into Claire Sutherland, who's a woman who has been raising her daughter. So she is a single mother. And I guess at some point they run into each other. I believe Claire owns a bookshop, and then Delilah has the photography. And they have spark up a romance. However, I do believe there's a little bit of enemies in there, because they talks about pushing each other's buttons and horrible fiancés and issues like that. So I'm sure it's going to be like a very fun little wild ride. Probably going to have some humor and craziness that comes with planning a wedding, and also just being an adult and trying to navigate being adult, living life, paying bills, trying to have a new relationship, introduce that with your child, things like that. This next one is also I say new adult contemporary romance, and that is The Spanish Love Deception. So this is a book that has been out for about a year now. I've heard a lot of hype for this, a lot of good reviews. I don't think I've seen one bad review yet, at least not that I can think of. If I remember correctly, this was published, self-published or indie published by the author, and then because of the popularity, it was picked up by a publisher, so at a certain point, it was republished and re-edited and things like that. I'm not really sure if that was done already or if it's still in the process. I do know that there was a thing going on with that, and people were talking about that. I do remember my Amazon order for that had a little messed up, so I was just canceling it. I'm like, look, Amazon, just leave it. I'll order from somewhere else while you figure out your business. So this follows Catalina Martin, who is finally not single. Happy sounds that she's bringing her American boyfriend to her sister's or something. Okay, so from my understanding, Catalina has met this man, Aaron. Mr. Aaron, he's been making his rounds in the book talk and book community. Now, I don't know what this man does, but he's like #1 in book boyfriend list in the past couple months. I'm very excited to see if he holds up to my list, because this man, he's got a good reputation so far. That's all. Look, he's doing pretty good for. Anyways, Catalina is supposed to be heading to a wedding. I believe it's like her sister or her aunt's wedding, something like that. And Aaron Blackford volunteers to be her date. And it seems like the two of them don't necessarily like each other. I think they make each other's blood boil. They aggravate each other. But she's like, I need a date. I need my family to get off my back about being single, so let's do it. And so I believe there's going to be a bit of a fake dating, a little bit of tension kind of romance going on there. And I'm excited to see how that plays out, especially since you have family involved. Family's always trying to be nosy, trying to know how you met, trying to like analyze every little bit of your relationship. And obviously that close proximity and then that interaction with family, just like every other fake dating romance, they start to fall for each other, and I'm excited. I have heard that this book is thick. Supposedly it's like 300 to 400 pages, and it's spicy, and I'm not mad at it. I want to know what Miss Elena Armas has been doing that the entire book community is obsessed with this book. I just want to know. Also kind of matches my shirt. So the next book I want to read is actually going to be my graphic novel. I think it's going to be the only graphic novel of the month, and that is Ghosted in LA Volume 2. I read Volume 1 in January, maybe early February. I'm not going to tell you anything about Volume 2 because it's probably going to spoil Volume 1, but we'll tell you about Volume 1. So Volume 1 follows this girl named Daphne, who has just come out of a recent bad breakup, and she's just fresh and new to LA, trying to just figure out her life, trying to get something going because she already had a pretty rough week. And she finds this like old manor that seems to be pretty abandoned, but still somewhat upkept by someone. And she ends up meeting a bunch of undead, aka ghosts. And so her and the ghosts end up striking up this deal that she can live temporarily with them while she gets back on her feet and figures some things out. Now, listen. You would never catch me going to some kind of house where no one else is in there. Why? Where is everybody? Where is everybody? Well, we got this big mansion and no one else is here. Second, the moment some ghost popped out, started talking to me, gone. You will never see me again. Bye. What house? The who? I don't know what you're talking about. I went to McDonald's. I don't know what you're talking about. Miss Daphne, she on a whole other level. Absolutely not. But hey, look, she doing it, and honestly, I respect her for it. I could never do it though. So I'm assuming Volume 2 is going to follow somewhat immediately after the events of Book 1, and I'm curious to see how that plays out, because there was definitely a bit of buildup of some conflicts there at the end, and I'm curious to see if she gets in a lot of trouble for that, or like if she's do some groveling or some like apologizing for that. Next one is going to be an audiobook, which is very interesting because I know if you asked me like last year, maybe 2 years ago, I'd be like, audiobooks, trash. But now, I can get behind a good audiobook. As long as the narrator has like a nice voice, and I have it about anywhere between 2.5 speed and 3 times speed, I'm good to go. But recently I've really been getting into audiobooks, and sometimes I even pick them over the ebook or physical version, so I don't know who I'm becoming, but suddenly I don't like fantasy, I really like romance, and I listen to audiobooks. I don't know what's going on, but things are happening. So this next book is Under One Roof, which is book 1 in the Steminist novellas by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood is also a Book of the Month author who has gotten a lot of attention and hype because of her first book, which is The Love Hypothesis. They announced that they're doing like a 3-book novella series, which are all audiobooks, are going to follow some women that are in STEM and some kind of tropey, very, very tropey romance. I'm really excited to read that. To be honest, I don't know if anyone has read it yet. At least I haven't seen any reviews, so yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the point. So this is going to be following Mara. Mara and Liam end up being roommates for some reason. I guess I'm assuming something happened and one of them needs a roommate, and they fall in love. That's really all what I want to know. I don't want to get myself too much because it's supposed to be like a really short audiobook, and I don't want to like end up spoiling the whole story. This next book is also I'm gonna say adult. I think it's more adult romance, and this is The Charm Offensive by Alison Corcoran. This is another book that I've heard quite a bit of hype and excitement about. And I kind of forgot about it, and then I remembered it again. It's kind of one of those books that like seems very similar to other books. You kind of forget about them, and they all blend together. This one follows two guys, and this is about Dev and Charlie, who I believe have to do some kind of dating show drama type thing, and they end up meeting on it. I believe one of them is a producer, and one of them is on the show as like a contestant. And I guess behind the scenes, something starts to build up between the two of them. And I'm really excited to see how that plays out because I have really enjoyed reading books that follows characters kind of in the spotlight, especially when it comes to like TV shows like Bachelor and etc. I have read a couple of those in the past and magnificent. I have also been reading some that has like cooking show themes. Love to see it. So now every time I watch an actual show, I'm just like, which one of y'all sparked up a romance when the cameras are turned off? Is it you? I bet it's you. Alright, so now we're on to the last two books. So one of these is coming through Libby as an audiobook, just because I've been trying to finish it for like 5 months. And that is Little Thieves. This is a fantasy young adult book that is a Goose Girl retelling. I believe this follows a servant slash maid, lady in waiting of a princess who is kind of tired of her position and wants revenge for something that happened to her. So she tries to go and steal some jewels from the princess and tries to take her position, basically like swap lives. That doesn't go very well because in the process of her trying to rule the kingdom, she ends up cursing this god, and it's the wrong one. Or the wrong, she messes with the wrong god and they curse her. And she's now limited to a certain amount of time to break her curse or she's going to die. And I believe she turns into the jewels that she has stolen from the princess, the original princess. So here she is trying to break this curse. She's trying to get her revenge. She's trying to get the prince slash fiance to fall in love with her. She's trying to run the kingdom. Sounds like a whole hot mess. And I'm here for it. Fantasy romance retelling? Say less. And the last book that I have here, also another book that I've been reading for months, that is also fantasy retelling, a little bit of romance in there, and that is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. I know y'all probably tired of hearing me talk about this, but like, I'm gonna continue talking about it and continue adding it to my TBR until I finally finish it. This is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling that a lot of people says gives them vibes of Once Upon a Time. A lot of people are very excited for this because Marissa Meyer is known for her fantasy and fairy tale retellings. This one follows Dorota, who is very well known for telling magical and beautiful stories. One day she gets in trouble by the Earl King because he does not like the story that she has told about him, and he tasks her with one of the nearly impossible tasks to spin gold out of twine, I don't really know. Spin some gold for me. And she's like, I'm dead. Well, we have this lovely character who I believe is going to be our Rumpelstiltskin character who comes in and offers to help her with, of course, a deal, a bet, a contract that he has in mind. And typically in Rumpelstiltskin stories, I believe it's something to do with the firstborn. So I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. I am nervous because I'm like, is she going to get pregnant? But I'm excited to read it either way. I have really enjoyed Marissa Meyer's writing in the past. I do really enjoy fantasy retellings. I feel like I don't read a lot about Rumpelstiltskin. And if it is as good as other people say, this is getting 5 stars for me. Alright, so that is all the books that I plan to read in March. Other than those, I'm probably just going to read whatever books is required for class. I might end up picking up another book, for example, if a book comes to book of the month, or I mood read something, or maybe a Kindle Unlimited book. Ooh. We are going up in March. So, in March, there are a couple of Kindle Unlimited books I want to read. Ooh, what is the title of this book? Like, I have the Amazon things for it open, so as soon as that date comes, all I gotta do is add to download or whatever. But what is the title? It's... You know, I'm just gonna put the covers of all the books from Kindle Unlimited right here. But I do believe there's one from Dana Solly, which is like the continuation of a series that I've started. I believe there's one from Molly Doyle, and there might be one more. But a couple of them are coming out in March, and I'm really hoping to read them in March because my Kindle Unlimited subscription ends in April. And I'm going to hold off on having that subscription for a while just to save some money and hopefully go on a little trip in over the summer, and also maybe buy some fun things on my birthday. So yeah, now we have made it to the end. So that's all the books I plan to read. So mainly books to Libby, books from a series I like to finish, and books for school. Seems pretty easy enough. Will I finish all of them? Probably not. Really depends on how I'm feeling, how busy I get, if the books come in or not, and if publishing dates don't change. So yeah. Let me know what some of the books that you guys plan to read in March are. Let me know if you have read any of these books that I mentioned today, and if you're interested in them, or if you like them or not, if you want to do some buddy reads and things like that. I do see buddy reads kind of like up in the air with some people that we talked about doing it. We just haven't like officially planned it because we just have some crazy, basic, hectic lives. And you know what? It's alright. I would love to do one soon, but yeah. So yeah, let me know if you have read these books, what you thought about them. Let me know if you're interested in reading them as well. Let me know some of the books that you're reading in March, and maybe drop a heart emoji, because I do have quite a bit of romance books for March, and I'm really excited for that because I feel like there'll be a nice little escape from the hecticness of school. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out and subscribing, commenting, and liking, and all of that jazz. Have a good day, good night, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is you are. And why are we doing finger guns? I don't know what I'm doing. I'll see you in another one.